Hello and welcome. This is a lesson on asteroids, comets, and meteors. Get ready to learn. Did you know? After the sun and planets formed, there was material left over. Small chunks didn't collide or get pulled in by gravity with planets or the sun. And they inhabit the solar system as asteroids, comets, and meteors. Now, why is this important? Meteorites and comets give clues to the origin of the universe. Knowing about these things that come into our atmosphere, knowing about them lowers the fear of being hit by an asteroid. Knowing allows us to enjoy meteor showers. There's only been one recorded person ever hit by a meteor. Well, we have asteroids, comets, and meteors. Here we go. Here are the differences. This is why there are three different ones. An asteroid is a rock-like object that orbits the sun. Goes around the sun just like the Earth does, but it's small. A comet is an asteroid with rock and water that develops a tail due to the sun. Comets tend to have orbits that come very close to the sun, then go very far away from the sun. And they're also made of rock and water. So they have this distinctive tail that you don't find with just a rock-like asteroid. Now, a meteoroid. There are three different ones. Meteoroid, meteor, meteorite. Here's how to tell them the difference and why there are three. A meteoroid is not orbiting the sun. It's a piece of asteroid in space. Maybe in the asteroid belt they knocked into each other and knocked themselves out of orbit. A meteor is a meteoroid, piece of rock, in the atmosphere that glows. It's a shooting star. So when a meteoroid is captured by Earth's gravity and is pulled into the atmosphere, it heats up and glows. We call that a meteor. So a meteoroid gets pulled into our atmosphere, becomes a meteor, and then when it lands on the Earth, it becomes a meteorite. And we'll get to these three again later. So we have asteroids, which are rock, comets, which are asteroid-like, but include rock and water. It's different composition. And then you got pieces of this that get pulled into our gravity in meteors. Now, the asteroid belt because it circles the sun. All these are just pieces of material rock that orbit. The asteroids are sometimes called minor planets or dwarf planets, depending on the size. But again, they're dwarf planets because they don't clear their orbits of debris. They're leftover materials from the formation of the solar system. And they orbit our sun between Mars and Jupiter in something called, here's Mars' orbit and Jupiter's orbit, and they call that the asteroid belt. Now, sometimes these two or three or four knock into each other. They combine, they knock each other out of orbit. They have a collision, and they fall into Earth's orbit and are attracted to the Earth because of its gravity, and they form meteors as they burn up in the atmosphere. Here's what an asteroid looks like. Big piece of rock. Now, comets. These are sometimes visible with nothing, just look up in the sky. But as you can see from here, here's the sun, and look at these orbits. Here's Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune. This is far away. Here's Halley's Comet. You can see the orbit of there is very close to the sun and very far away. And here are some other comets. There's snowballs, if you think of it that way. Frozen gas, rock, and dust about the size of a small town. They're highly elliptical orbit around our sun. This is an ellipse here. Highly elliptical. In other words, it goes out very far and then comes very close. When the orbit brings it close to the sun, it heats up, and then you get this tail. It spews gas and dust into a giant glowing head. Here's the head, and there's the tail. Here's some pictures taken over time, put together in a video. Here's the head, here's the tail. Now, meteors. They're bits of interplanetary material burning through Earth's atmosphere. And you can see these with nothing but your eyes. They're also known as shooting stars. They're not stars and they're not shooting, but people give things names. Now, because the Earth travels in a predictable orbit, you can have storms of these shooting stars. In other words, a time where you see a lot of them when the Earth passes through the debris of comets. Now, if a comet's going around the sun and the Earth's going around the sun, there are times when the Earth goes through the debris path of the comet. Now remember, the comet's leaving behind dirt and ice. So when the Earth passes through that debris field, you get a lot of shooting stars or a lot of meteors. And meteors themselves are mostly iron. They're very dense, and many are found near the South Pole for a real simple reason. They're black. Most of the South Pole is white, so they're easy to see. 70% of the Earth is covered with water, so when they hit the water, they sink to the bottom and you never find them. So a lot of meteors are found on the South Pole. Now, meteors burn in the mesosphere layer of the atmosphere. The Earth is made, the Earth's atmosphere is made of different layers based on temperature and density. The exosphere, or space, is the furthest. The thermosphere is very hot, but there's not a lot of air molecules there, so there's not there's not a lot to rub against as you're coming in to the atmosphere. But here in the mesosphere, down in this layer here, 30 to 50 miles above the Earth's surface, meteors burn up here because there's enough air molecules to rub against and push out of the way, and it causes it to heat up. And then we have the stratosphere and the troposphere. And those are different layers of the atmosphere, but it's only in the mesosphere that the meteors burn up. This is a meteorite. Now we have meteoroid, meteor, and meteorite. Here's how to remember them. A meteoroid, it's in space, or OID, out in distance. So a meteoroid is out in the distance. It's in space. A meteor is in atmosphere, a shooting star with no suffix. So the suffix burned off. Easy way to remember. And a meteorite, it's on Earth. This is a meteorite. I-T-E. It touched Earth. So you have meteoroid, meteor, and meteorite. Out in the distance, no suffix, or it touched Earth. Easy way to remember the three. There's your lesson on asteroids, comets, and meteors.